They were hunting us. The forest had been quiet for too long. Not the comfortable quiet of an early morning, not birdsong arriving in stages, not the soft percussion of wind through high branches. This was the other kind, the kind where every creature that knows the difference between predator and prey has already made a decision, and made it hours ago, while 4 people slept inside a ring of nylon and aluminum poles and told themselves the fire would last until dawn. It had. The embers were still breathing when Marcus crawled out of his tent and noticed the tires, all 4 of them, every vehicle, flat to the rims and sitting in the gravel like the air had simply decided to leave. He walked around his truck with the expression of a man whose brain is presenting information it does not yet want to process. Crouching, touching the sidewall, pulling his hand back when he felt the edges. Not a blowout, not a valve stem. 3 parallel cuts on each tire, spaced like fingers, each one clean enough to have been made with intention and time. He woke the others. They stood in the thin gray of early morning, Donna, Reyes, Cal, turning in slow circles, looking at the tires, looking at each other, looking at the ground. It was Reyes who saw the marks first. She didn't say anything, just pointed. They ringed the entire site. Not in a straight line, not random. They circled. Parallel grooves pressed 4 inches into the soft earth, spaced 18 inches apart, running in a loop around the camp's perimeter as though something enormous had been dragged. Again and again, the inner ring of marks overlapped the outer one. Whatever left them had traveled the same path more than once, patient as a second hand, while the 4 of them breathed and dreamed and fed the fire in their sleep. None of them spoke for a moment that lasted too long. The phones had a single bar for about 40 minutes every morning. Around 6:30, they'd learned that on day 1. Donna checked hers. Cal checked his. The signal icon was gray and flat and showed nothing. They walked to the edge of the site, arms extended, phones tilting. Nothing changed. The dead zone had expanded, or the towers had simply stopped answering. Either explanation felt equal in the pale light. It was Cal who thought to try the compass. He carried a small liquid-filled one, the kind that clips to a zipper pull, bought from a rack near the register of a sporting goods store. He unclipped it and held it flat on his palm. The needle swept once, settled, then began to drift. Slowly at first, then with a kind of urgency, rotating, not pointing, spinning toward the ridgeline above the north tree line and trembling when it arrived there, like a dog that's caught a scent. Donna raised the binoculars. She said nothing. She did not lower them. Her breathing changed, a single deep intake held, then the slow, controlled release of someone trying not to make a sound. The figures stood just inside the tree line, evenly spaced, facing the camp with the patient alignment of something that has learned stillness the way other things learn language, out of necessity, out of use. She counted 12, possibly more, deeper in where the shadows folded over themselves. They were tall. They were not moving. In the gray morning light, it was possible to tell yourself they were stumps, were fence posts, were anything at all except what the geometry of their spacing suggested. She handed the binoculars to Reyes without a word. They agreed that walking out was the only option. The trailhead was 4 miles. The road beyond it connected to a county highway. After another 2, Marcus said he would go. He was the fastest, knew the trail, had the best boots for the distance. No one argued. They watched him check his pack for the water bottle and the small first aid kit, watched him tie his laces twice, watched him stand at the edge of camp and look toward the trail's mouth. The figures had not moved. He said he'd signal at the trailhead if he had service. He said he'd be back with someone by noon, by 1 at the latest. He walked toward the tree line. They watched through the binoculars. They watched him reach the trail marker and step into the shade of the first trees, and they watched the line of figures the entire time, holding their breath for the movement that never came. The figures did not turn, did not shift, not one of them followed. It was Donna who saw it first. She adjusted the focus, looked again, looked harder. In the line of figures standing motionless inside the tree line where Marcus had entered the forest, there was now a gap, a space between two of them, perfectly measured, the exact width of a man's shoulders. It had been there before he arrived. It had been the right size since morning. The fire behind them had burned all night, and the smoke had risen straight into the windless dark, and something had looked up and seen it, and counted the shadows sleeping around it. 3 of them are still there. The fire is almost out.